What's going on, Dan K Show fans? It is finally back. You've been playing all month. You've been working real hard, and it's time for Power Rankings Week, baby. It is a big time week. A lot of movement, a lot of debate, a lot of argument, and there's going to be a lot of unhappy and ecstatic fans out there. Find out which one you are next. Power Rankings presented by the Elite Junior Profiles. All right, hockey fans, we don't have time for three things. We don't have time for introductions. Well, you know what? We do have time for introductions because we got to introduce in to the show my right-hand man, Mike Consigliere, the only man to ever in Dan K Show history be forgotten in a state where a game wasn't being played. Apologies again, but he made it on time. He got the job done, and he's Lucas Jones. Lucas, what's going on?
Dan, I don't know if it's – I think the only way that could have been worse is if you had left me in the state which hockey was being broadcast to then go back home, because at least I was able to hop in my own car, rev up the Mustang, and take that thing out of the highway and get to Chelsea Piers in time.
By the speed limit, correct?
Say that again, wait.
By the speed limit, you're doing speed limit with your Mustang.
That's the thing. It's because if you're stuck going the speed limit, you might as well make it more fun. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. If you're going to go from A to B at varying speeds of 55 to 65 miles an hour, depending on local and state regulations, you might as well be a little loud while you're doing it.
Don't make the same mistake Dan K did on his way to Wisconsin Rapids. I learned my lesson there. We keep moving, though. We get into these things. Elite Premier. We remind you, these power rankings are presented by the best team in the recruiting game. You want to take your recruiting profile to the next level. You want to find your next place to play, whether that's in junior hockey, college hockey, wherever that is. Or maybe you have a son or daughter that also plays other sports outside the game of hockey. Elite Junior Profiles is your place to be. That's EliteJRProfiles.com. Go, sign up, and thank us later, because it's the next step in your playing career. No matter what sport you play, at what level, they do it all correctly. And a lot of teams did a lot correctly this month, Lucas. There was a lot of debate, a lot of argument, and a lot to go through. We start in the Elite, the USPHL Elite Dan K Show Power Rankings, baby, presented by Elite Junior Profiles. Number 10. Let's get right into it, Lucas. A lot of teams, okay? A lot of teams could crack the top 10. We've got a newcomer here. A team that is the only team to use all 5 of the win-loss categories, because they tied this month as well. 6-3-1-1-1. Lots of ones. It's like a picket fence they're building out there. The Jersey Hitmen cracked the top 10 for the first time this year.
That's right, Dan. The Jersey Hitmen always like to start out with the energy that a new team brings, right? Because this isn't just the same 10 teams over and over and over. There's always new teams in the mix, teams moving on. And this Jersey Hitmen squad has been really, really good in the month of October. They've definitely earned their way into this top 10 ranking system. I like what the Hitmen have done this month. They have a dominant goals differential. They have good wins against good teams. It's really been an establishing month. They've really leapt onto the scene.
Yeah, and look at that mug. It looks great. But we look at this Jersey Hitmen team, and, you know, the strength of schedule, it was off and on this month. And their losses, though, is where I look. The only losses they have are the teams that we would deem in the running for this top 10. We'll see if they fall in. We'll see if they make it. But it's the Rockets Hockey Club and the Boston Junior Bruins. So they play tough teams. You got to give them the benefit for that. They've got 47 goals for, 27 against. And points-wise, they're sitting atop the Mid-Atlantic. I think the Rockets a lot would have an argument as to say they're the number one team out there right now. But points-wise, they've got that chance up there. They're sitting up top along with that Rockets Hockey Club team. I like how they look. I like the balance in their scoring. Trevor Carmen, Jake Quinn, Jack Noel, Leo Carlucci, Angelo DePinto, Joey Annuzzi, Austin Bailey. You got to love the group out here in Jersey. I think there's a lot of depth in scoring. They play the defensive side of the ice well. A lot of games in this month of October, getting a late start to the season, and they really did enough to crack the top 10. Moving up the list here, Lucas, we go to a team at number 9 that has dropped a bit from last month, and that is the Carolina Junior Hurricanes at 6-2-0-0. Not many times do you see a record of 6-2-0-0 and see a team drop 5 spots in the power rankings.
Well, it's a combination, right? It's not just about your movement, right, and what you've done as a team. It also, in a sense, comes down to how other teams have done. Focusing on what each week does allows these power rankings to have a little bit of movement, because it is very much a what have you done for me lately. The Carolina Junior Canes in October, 3-1-0-0. They've beaten the Rush and the Potomac Patriots, but they also had a pretty big loss against the Rush. They lost 8-1 against that team, and this Rush team is a good squad. That's a tough loss to take. So, when you're trying to come up with the middle teams, sometimes you can't just go on wins and losses. Sometimes you end up on the quality of those wins or losses. And I just think that coming out of the Southeast, losing 8-1 to a good team like the Rush, but that's still a game that a top 10 team really can't allow themselves to have, especially if you have that get later in the season.
What I still do love about this Junior Hurricanes team is the roster at the
Yeah.
top. Chase Williams, Luke Havener, Chris Kennedy, Dylan Ballman. This is a team, Luke Norman as well, 5 goals. Nothing normal about Norman. He's been a player of the week nod for the Dan K Show. You look at this Junior Canes team, and they have all the makings of a winner. And this Southeast is just every month you're going to see movement in the Southeast. Teams beat up on each other at the elite and premier level. Teams can score goals in bunches. They can all get the play in net that they need. And you look in net for the Carolina Junior Hurricanes, you've got Jackson Verska there leading the way with a .921 saves percentage, and Camden Prieb, who's got a .939. They get the goaltending. They get it done on both ends. This is a team that has all the makings of a quick turnaround, Lucas. Sometimes you make a move down in the month, not as much because of what you're not doing, but because of what others are doing. Only 4 games on the resume for the Carolina Junior Hurricanes. That never helps. And an 8-1 loss, like you said. You lose 8-1. We try to not just be number centric here, right? We're not a robot making these power rankings. There's a human element to it. We're watching games. We're going through tape. We're looking at rosters, and that's what power rankings should be all about. We're not just some show, looking at another show's idea and stealing that and kind of regurgitating it in a way that doesn't have any rhyme or reason and trying to pitch on the same day. We are really going through all this, really watching tape, and really diving in. And that's where we get to number 8. And this was a tough one again. And it's the Islanders Hockey Club, Lucas, who get the nod at number 8.
Yeah, this was a tough one. It's a situation where they've got a really good record, right? They've got a really good record overall. They're good in the month of October. They're 3-1-0-0. They've got wins against the Picks, the Cyclones, the Bandits. They have that loss against this Bruins team that's been fairly upstart this month. But I think one of the things that maybe gives me a little bit of pause with putting this team higher is the fact that they've had a lot of really close games. And that seems like a tough statistic, a tough mechanic to come in and downgrade a team. But you look at 7 total games, and I'm seeing 28 goals for and 20 goals against. And what that points out to me is that's a team that's living and dying off the strength of their defense. And their goaltending so far this season has been the highlight. They've got a team save percentage of .926 between Mike Varveris, Austin Gilbert, and Anthony Fermani. 2 of those guys, rookies, Austin and Anthony, the bottom of that list. But, their goaltending has kept them in a lot of games. I'd like to see their offensive production jump up a little bit to see them jump up a little bit in the rankings.
Yeah, and you look at this IHC team, they dropped 3 spots, and that's a tough way to drop because you see that Bruins team, you may see them as we go through this thing. It's a good Bruins team this year. Jackson Hansen, Jason Melanson, Lane Brubaker-Egner, Frank Juergens, Jeremy Olsen. These are all guys who can score. Adam Mazurowski at the centerman position. The thing is, in these 7 games, obviously you're not looking for the numbers to be insane. Not every team has to be scoring like a New York Aviators premier under Mike Stanaway, but
right.
You do want to see a little bit more offensive production for a team that's going to be higher up on your list because you want to be able to win the game. When I'm looking at the power rankings, I'm looking at every team in the elite. I want to know you can win a game 8-1 like the Rush did, or you can win a game 1-0 on any given day. I know they can win the 1-0 game at IHC.
Mhm.
I don't know they can win the 8-7. I don't know if that's a game that they can get into a shootout with somebody and win it right now. That's why they sit at number 8. We go to number 7. It's the team that moved up a spot. I'll tell you what, you want to talk about dealing with adversity. The Northern Cyclones right now at number 7, 3-1-0-0. New Hampshire's open. New Hampshire's closed. New Hampshire's open. We've seen Bill Flanagan, the owner of the Northern Cyclones, vocal and it's off and on to deal with the adversity, the ups and downs, the are we playings, the are we nots, to stay safe and go 3-1-0. They get that number 7 spot, and they certainly earned it.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And, if you're looking at these records and these schedules along with us as well, you might notice that the Northern Cyclones lost to the Islanders Hockey Club. And you might be saying to yourself, well, then how could the Islanders Hockey Club be 8th and Northern Cyclones be 7th? And to that, I would say the Islanders Hockey Club won in shootouts. And Dan, what do we know? What's an undisputable fact about shootout wins?
I don't even know if I have the energy to argue this right now with you. I don't know if I have it. Lucas literally thinks the shootout just doesn't count. For me,
not in a head-to-head matchup.
If I'm on the ice, and I got a puck on my stick or I got pads on me and I'm ready to stop a puck, you got a chance to win just like the other team. There is no advantage. Go win it. Go win it. You want to be the team who won? Go be the team who won. You don't get to kind of say, oh, it was a shootout. It was this. It was that. Lucas, what I will give you is just some of the names on this Cyclone squad are guys that I really trust at the top, and that's kind of where I allowed the change to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it as, okay, this team has done it in the past. The names we're seeing here, the Mark Giordanos, the Nick Supers, the TJ Vitulos, we've seen these guys have success, so they're ready to do it again. So that's where I'm okay with putting them ahead of IHC. But IHC is a very good argument to be in that 7 spot instead of Northern.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's 2 other things that separate Northern for me. The Northern Cyclones have beaten the Boston Junior Bruins, who Islanders Hockey Club lost to. So I would say that because of that shared opponent, Northern Cyclones win that argument. I also think that Northern Cyclones, if you match up the goaltending, I think Northern's proven that they have great goaltending this year. Team save percentage of .948 between Nick Lehman and Connor Vitrans. Both of these guys have a sub-2 goals against average. They're an over 948 for Connor, 961 for Nick Lehman, only allowing 3 goals on 76 shots. That's incredible. That is absolutely locked down in the face of what other teams in this division are able to do.
We go up the list here to number 6, and this is another one that could be deemed maybe a toss-up. Maybe the Carolina Junior Hurricanes have an argument to be ahead here since they split. But the Charlotte Rush, 4-3-0-1, 2-1, 0-1 in the month of October coming into this. 9 points for them, sitting in 4th. So behind the Whalers and behind the Generals and behind the Junior Hurricanes in this division. But they got to win against the Generals. And this is a Generals team that for the last year and a half have been number 1 in every single Elite Power Rankings. Every single Elite Power Rankings, they've been number 1. So a win against that number 1 is huge. That is one of the toughest teams in the country to beat, if not the toughest to beat. And they got that win. That's how the Rush find this 6th spot, moving up 1 from last month.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of that comes down to, right? If you can beat these teams that are above you, that makes it real easy for us to move you up. And they have some young talent on this team. The Charlotte Rush are not afraid to mix and match those veterans with a lot of those guys. They have a lot of 02s on this team, including an 04 in Egan Cunningham, who right now has 5 points in 6 games played. Egan, I think, is going to be one of those guys to look out for. He's a right winger, 5'10", 160. He just seems to me like one of those guys that can make a difference. And if you go back to that Richmond Generals series, he's got 3 points in 2 games, 2 goals and 1 assist. So this is an 04. This is a rookie. I wouldn't be surprised if he's leading the pack in terms of stats after a couple more months. And I think this Charlotte Rush team might have a little bit up their sleeve to make a run in these power rankings.
Yeah, and you look at it with this Charlotte Rush side, 23 different skaters have a point. Mm-hmm. That is classic Charlotte Rush hockey. You get on the ice, you're expected to fill in, to play hard and to make a difference. And every single guy that puts on a Rush uniform understands that there is a legacy to live up to. There is a winning culture, and you love to see it because they talked about it. We've talked with the coaches there before. We talked with Ryan Carruthers. It's the idea of that Yankees mentality, right? Like, how many times do Yankees and non-Yankees fans, especially non-Yankees fans, just go, oh, come on, Chris Young is going to move over and he's batting 140 and now he goes to the Yankees hitting 390. Like, oh, come on. Look at, you look at a third base position with Gio Urshela, a guy who the Indians paid the Yankees to take off their plate.
Yep.
And he comes out and on the league minimum is hitting 350 and hitting bombs. Like, it's the idea with the Rush that they always get the buy-in from each and every player who walks in that building. Arlie Cutler in net with a .937 saves percentage. Already got a shutout in a year. He stopped 119 shots out of 127. He's 3-1. This is a Rush team they're a 4 seed right now. If I'm the Generals, I want nothing to do with a 1v4 matchup come playoff time. I mean, in the Southeast, I don't think I want to play anybody in that division
No.
in a playoff series. But, I mean, that's definitely a 4 seed that is there to be reckoned with, man. They are just so good. Let's go to number 5. Number 5, these guys have a lot of big wins under their belt. They really, really took it to the Jersey Hitmen this month. 6-1-0-0. 4 spots up from last month, the Rockets Hockey Club.
And this is a Rockets Hockey Club team that if you go back to the beginning of the season, I said was going to be involved in the national championship game. They were going to be one of 2 teams playing at the end of the season for some hardware. I've been watching this team for years. I love the development system. It's effortless when they hit the ice, and they just keep promoting players, and more players keep coming up from underneath them. They've got great wins so far. They're 6-1-0-0. They've got a really good goal differential. They've got a couple of great skaters on the team as well. I do want to zero in on who they've beaten, though. They've beaten the Hitmen, the Whalers, and that New York Aviators team, which is always a little pesky. The only blemish, a loss to the Bruins. And that loss to the Bruins continues to be the difference maker for a lot of these teams. It continues to put a bit of a ceiling on them. But I like the upward trajectory for the Rockets Hockey Club. I like the amount of defense, the great goaltending they've got. And if you go over to their skaters, Dan, they have been putting up points with reckless abandon.
Yeah, and you look at Jason Lastra. This is one of the most potent scorers in the junior hockey game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Lastra, you put him anywhere on the ice, any day. He's got 3 game winners, okay? So he's not just a big-time scorer. He's won 3 of the 6 games. Half of the games that the Rockets have won, he's scored and netted the game winner. That is something real. Like that stat, a lot of people overlook it. 8-1 game, you score the second goal of the game, and people count as the game winner. I get it. But that is a big stat. Scoring those important goals is what matters. Scoring that game changer is what matters. Sometimes when you win 8-0, the first goal was the most important. I'll tell you that much right there. Anthony Capriati, Darren Michaels, Brody Burmester there, Max Toomey, all guys that are willing to pass the puck, get the puck in the scorer's sticks. Matthew Emmer's another one. Darren Michaels another one. The net minding too. You got 3 goaltenders who can stop the puck. Louis Fantasia, the old broomsticks that would go around, scared the bejeebus out of me as a child. I was like looking at the broom in the kitchen crying, man. I wanted nothing to do with that. Don't show your kids Fantasia too soon. My sister loved it. I was scared of the brooms. They were like dumping water everywhere. No thanks. But you're also scared of these other 2 goaltenders, and Nate Jokelkar and Adam Schaefer. And they get it from all over. If you're going to score the puck and you're also going to have netminders with sub-3 goals against averages and 9+ saves percentages, you're going to win a lot of hockey games. And the Rockets Hockey Club are primed to make it to nationals right now.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think this is a team that they have no ceiling. They can go as high right now as both their offense and defense will carry them.
And now we go on to number 4. And for the first time in program history, the Boston Junior Bruins Elite cracks not only the top 10, but the top 5. The 4 spot goes to a 4-2-1-1 Boston Junior Bruins team that wins the big games. They win the big games against the big teams. They've got big W's, and they put themselves at number 4. Congratulations to the Junior Bruins.
Yeah, it's really been a lot of fun to watch this team play in October. Yes, they have a tight goal differential, only a +8, but they've won big games against big time opponents, including IHC is in that mix. They beat the Aviators, the Rockets, the Hitmen, and IHC. Their losses coming in overtime or shootouts. So it's, it's six of one, half dozen of the other. We can have that conversation all day, but at the end of the day, the Junior Bruins have been so dominant. They've been so consistently good, and they're tenacious. How many times do you see an elite team struggle in these close games, especially when it's close game after close game after close game? But not the Junior Bruins. They have succeeded, even thrived in these really tough to play environments. And, if you're a fan of foreshadowing, you should have known the Junior Bruins were coming, because every one of these teams in the bottom five lost the Junior Bruins, lost the Junior Bruins, lost the Junior Bruins. With that many wins against top opponents, you got to be in the top five.
Yeah, and you look at this Junior Bruins team, they, like I said, they win big games. I wish my stats would update quick enough right now, because I'm getting my computer's lagging on me, but I don't even need to look at it just yet. We can jump through this Junior Bruins team. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so my computer is working perfectly, thankfully. But they've got five skaters who are looking at over a point per game right away. They're doing really well in the power play. Guys are getting involved in the goals and the assist side, led by Billy McCann right now. 3 games, 7 points, 1 goal, 6 assists. When your top point scorer is an assist guy, that is a great sign for your offense. That is so textbook Boston Junior Bruins. It almost hurts a little bit of how textbook it is to have your guys who can feed the puck. You talk about a guy like Charles Yang, then you go down the list, 4 goals, 1 assist. Well, now you've got McCann feeding to Yang, and you've got these scorers who can play on any line. They can mix and match. It's such a fun team to watch. You head over to the goaltender side of things. 2 rookies in the net, Jazel Patel, and then Cameron, oh boy, Schermerhorn. That's a fun one to try to jump in and pronounce on the fly. These guys are the rookies who are back-ending off Jake Romney, who's a 1.54 goals against and 9.57 save percentage. It's classic Junior Bruins. Complete team front to back, great offense, great ability to share the puck, backed up by good goaltending. Lots of big things for this newcome powerhouse in the Elite Division.
I'll tell you, Jake Romney knows how to use the mitt, man, with that 9.57 saves percentage. Got a shutout under his belt. He's 2-1-1. He's got that shootout loss that Lucas doesn't even count, so he can take that one off of the off of the record there. But no, this Boston Junior Bruins team, you're gonna have to watch out for them all season long. They feel like IHC was last year at the Premier level, where they just put themselves on the map, and they really feel like they are making a name for themselves up there in that North Division. Now we get to the big top 3.
Yep.
This was tough. We were all over on this one, but we have big news at number 3. We're not going to make any friends. For the first time in a year and a half, the Richmond Generals are not at number 1 and have moved to the 3 spot, 2 spots down, 7-3-0-0. How'd they get there, Lucas?
Couple of tough losses, I mean, it's one of those things that you check the schedule, right? You take a look at where the losses may have occurred. A 5-3 in October. Now that's a great record. It's not what the Generals want. And coming for a number 1 team, that's not what you want either. 2 wins against Potomac, 1 against the Rush, and 2 against Hampton Roads Whalers. But those 2 Hampton Roads Whalers wins are offset by losses, and that's huge for the Hampton Roads Whalers to come out there and split with the number 1 team. I won't argue with the idea that when you're number 1, there's a bit of a target on your back, right? And that literally any misstep could potentially send you tumbling. I think they had a good month. The 5 wins are strong wins, and the 3 losses are even fairly strong losses. And so I think because of the strong wins and the strong losses, they only moved down 2 spots, but that in Richmond right now, this one hurts.
Yeah, and you look, Jaden Lee, Chase Golden, Everett Bailey, you're getting wins in net right now, but we know how good these 3 are. And we know that there's more in the tank. We know that there's more stops there. And we know as a team with RC Likely on the bench that your net minding isn't just the product of your net minding. It's the product of the guys in front of them too. And I can guarantee you, Coach Like has reminded his guys that. Jackson Goods out here, 8 assists on the year, really making things happen offensively for this Richmond Generals side, and they are still the team to beat, right? They've got the latest cup in the Elite. Last year, they were on pace to potentially do it again before everything came to a halt. This season, they're still at the top right now in the division. They still have all signs point to Richmond being the guys, right? But we say, you gotta we do these power rankings month by month because we have to reward the latest play, and that's how the Generals back themselves up. A team that could argue they should have moved into that number 1 spot, vacated by the Richmond Generals, is at number 2, staying even, although being the only undefeated side left. The Tampa Bay Juniors, 8-0-0-0, stay at number 2.
Tampa Bay Juniors right now, without a loss, I won't use the word because we don't want to jinx anything. Without a loss currently, a plus 40 goal differential, 53 goals for, 13 goals against. They're out here beating everybody, losing to nobody. So the thing that keeps them in second is, unfortunately, it's a product of we want to see them play some other squads, right? And to say unfortunately at number 2 is such a misnomer because it's not unfortunately. They're beating quality teams in the division. But this 1 and this 2 are really just a function of the number 1 seed beat a bit of a stronger team, and the Tampa Bay Juniors are the strongest team. So it makes it tough, I think, by that rationale for them to move up into that number 1 spot through zero fault of their own. I love this Tampa Bay Juniors team. They put together such a good squad every single year. They've got returners mixed with new players. They've got a great coach behind the bench, a great organization. I think they're nationals bound. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the championship as well. But right now they sit at number 2, barring another month of good play.
Ryan Bahula, Adam Custable, 1 and 2 in points in the USPHL Elite, 19 for each of them. You go through the list, Jack Fleer, you also have Jake Duhame, all in that top 20 range for the Tampa Bay Juniors. So they've got a handful of guys in the top 20 point getters in this division. We always talk about in these power rankings, right? It's the players sometimes. Sometimes it's not always the record. Sometimes it's the players. Then you look in net. They've got the best goalie statistically right now in Evan Spinella with the .932 saves percentage, a 1.47, and a 4-0 record. And then he's only playing alongside maybe the second best goalie or tied. This is A1, 1A, 1B. These guys are equal in net. Ethan Lee, who's 4-0 with a 1.91 and a 9.25 saves percentage. They are going to out-net mind everybody they play. They can outscore anybody they play. I could easily say they're number 1. Why do I not say they're number 1? It's almost like, Lucas, you talked about jinxing teams, right? I almost feel like I don't want to put them at number 1 because I want this on your bulletin board if you're in Tampa. Tampa who, right? Tampa who? You just watched the Tampa Bay Lightning team raise a cup in that area. You're watching Tom Brady come in and bring the Monstars together to try to win in Tampa LeBron style. You've watched a lot of success. The Tampa Bay Rays piece it together and go to a World Series. Why not the Tampa Bay Juniors in this Elite? Why not have them at number 1? Well, why not, Lucas?
Well, Dan, because there's another team that is at number 1 this month. And for the folks at home who are watching, they might say, well, Lucas, you love this Tampa Bay Juniors team. You always advocate for them. How are they not number 1? And that's because there's a team that Dan advocates for just a little bit better. It's the Hampton Roads Whalers.
I love Hampton Roads. Magic in the Hamptons, baby. I love what they do. I love the way the organization's run. I love the coaching staffs. I love the ownership. I love Brad Jones. Love it. Love the whole group. All right. And this team here is what we talk about. Spinella and Lee in net for the juniors. Either one's going to win you a game any day. This Hampton Roads Whalers team relies on Ty Morton, man. A 9.38 saves percentage, a 1.83 goals against, game in, game out, go-to guy between the pipes.
And, you look at the skater side of things, and I love the 03s that are sit atop this standings for these teams. Evan Miles and Cooper Hunt. Evan Miles, a player that we were completely floored by his ability last year at the Southern Showcase. We were completely, we were put back in our seats. We couldn't believe what we were watching. The speed, the physicality, the on-ice intelligence. Well, here he is. He's back, folks, and he's got 9 points in 8 games. He's got 3 goals on the power play. He's a young skater. He's joined by Cooper Hunt, 7 points in 8 games, another 03, 3 power play assists. These guys are just feeding each other the puck all the time. You love to see these young skaters step into these roles, step into these potential leadership opportunities, and really dominate on this elite team.
And you mix them with Shane Ziegler and Tyler Deanna, 2 older guys here, and Jack Schwartz as well, the defenseman position. It's just balanced really well. Kyle Ball's another guy, a year 2000, who you look at the left defense position, who's a settled-down defenseman, comfortable with the puck on his stick, plays it well. And Kyle Ball is one of the most underrated defensemen in the Southeast Division, if not the elite. I mean, he really could play anywhere right now. You know what I mean? You slot him in a lot of places. He could play at any level at the defenseman position. Tag Hilliard at the centerman. You know, there's depth in scoring. Joe Shower, man, this guy can handle the puck better than anybody. Shower. And, Evan Miles.
Yeah, there's not much else you can really say except, you look at this team, you look how complete they are. They get contributions from everybody. It's not just about points for them. We know that by watching this squad. I think they've certainly earned this first place spot. I think it is also their spot to lose. Going to put a little extra pressure on them in November, but this is a team that can rise to that pressure.
That's it, man. And you are going to have to rise. If you don't agree, you let us know on the ice this month. In the month of November, you got a lot of time before it's turkey time to put some good resumes together. Let's see it. Get after it. Your top 10 at number 1. The Hampton Roads Whalers are back, baby. The Quack Attack is back, Jack. Number 2, the Tampa Bay Juniors, who can certainly argue that spot. Richmond Generals at number 3. The Boston Junior Bruins, congrats. The first move into the elite top 10 for them at number 4. The Rockets Hockey Club and our boy Wags at number 5. Love you, Wags. Number 6, the Charlotte Rush. Number 7, the Northern Cyclones. Number 8, the Islanders Hockey Club, who said, hey, we beat the Northern Cyclones. But doesn't count, apparently, Lucas said. Number 9, the Carolina Junior Hurricanes. And at number 10, rounding it out, the Jersey Hitmen. Premier Power Rankings coming up next.
You are watching The Dan K Show. Everything USPHL. From the NCDC to the Premier and Elite Leagues. The Dan K Show with Dan K and Lucas Jones.
All right, hockey fans, we've talked about the elite. We've gone through your top 10. Remember to reach out to us if you have any complaints, if you have any agreements. We love those too. Or if you just want to tell us how wonderful we are at @the_Dan Show, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or www.dankshow.com. Contact us there as well. Also, we again thank our presenting sponsors, the Elite Junior Profiles, EliteJuniorProfiles.com. That's EliteJRProfiles.com. For that, let's go. USPHL Premier Power Rankings, Dan K Show style. 24 teams, Lucas. We did one pass. We had 24 teams we thought should be in the top 10.
Yep.
Mind blown. The most we've ever had before was 19, and that was the hardest power rankings we've ever done. 24 teams should have been in this. 24. This is insanity.
Yeah, it's absolutely mind-blowing. That first pass, just of teams you think might qualify, really shows you the strength of the league as a whole and what the parity and the competitiveness is like in the Premier as a whole. There's no such thing as too many teams when the competition is as good as it's been inside the Premier, and I cannot wait until we start to see some of these heavy hitters getting involved with each other at a few showcases in the future this year. It's going to be really, really exciting.
We started number 10, and it immediately shows you how stumped we were. We basically said, you know what, let's cut this thing to 12. We have 24 teams. Let's cut it in half.
Yep.
So many great teams that I could think of that I'm not going to name because I don't want to ruin the suspense, but a lot of great teams that could have been in this thing. One of them was the Elmira Junior Enforcers, who I loved. I thought they had a great month of October going 4-2-2. I mean, they could have been in here. They weren't. And there's a lot of others. But number 10, it's a three-way tie. And Luke's going to explain that triangle of influence here as the Islanders Hockey Club, the Boston Junior Bruins for the first time in the Premier, and the Rockets Hockey Club all slot in, tied at number 10.
Well, we start with the Rockets Hockey Club, 9-2-0-0 in October. 2 wins against the Philadelphia Hockey Club, another strong team in that division, so that puts them up right away. Big wins against the Skipjacks, PAL, the Aviators, which are always tough, against the Hitmen. Lost to the Aviators, but a loss to the Junior Bruins, and this is where things start to get a little bit shifty, because you come down to the Junior Bruins now, and you see that they went 6-2-0-0, so 2 losses as well in the month of October. They've also beaten Hitmen, PAL, Aviators, the Cyclones, the Monarchs. They've beaten the Rockets, but the Junior Bruins have lost to the Islanders Hockey Club. And you say, okay, well, now we're building some suspense. So we've got the Rockets losing to the Bruins losing to IHC. Then you go to the Islanders Hockey Club, and you see that they went 2-0-0-0 in the month of October, bringing them to 3-0-0-0. And who have they beaten, Dan? They've beaten the Monarchs and the Bruins. So you're stuck with this IHC team that's beaten the Bruins, but the Bruins have beaten the Rockets. But IHC's only played 2 games.
They've only played 2 in a month. Yeah, that's where we both had the same thought process. If I was going to put the Bruins up there, you love this Rockets team. You look at IHC, and there's no way to keep them out of it if you put either of those 2 in. So it becomes kind of a toss-up. And, you got to decide on the ice if you're these 3 teams. We got to see what November looks like. That's how you figure out who's in, who's out, or if all 3 stay in. And you look in the net for the Boston Junior Bruins. I want to start there because that was my team here. And the net was where I found my things. You got Bienvenu there. You've got a couple other scorers who can score the puck. But in net, Lucas, 2 net minors, Max Macchioni and Trevor Lally. Lally, .953 saves percentage, a .176 goals against, 3-1. Macchioni, 3-1, 0-0, .171 goals against average, 9.5 saves percentage. My Lanta. These 2 guys are so good. They're so talented. They each have a shutout. When you can get net mining like this, same argument for the Tampa Bay Juniors, you're in every game.
Yeah, you absolutely are. And talking about in every game, you talk about the Rockets Hockey Club, right? They have every single year, it seems like they have great offense, but the defense is sometimes where they struggle. The Premier this year, that's not the story. 63 goals for, 27 goals against. Their defense is their offense. The goaltenders are only facing about 18, 19 shots a game, but their goaltenders are incredible. It's Nolan Woodring and Joe Hughes, 2 of some of the best goaltenders in the Mid-Atlantic, if not in the entire Premier. That keeps this Rockets Hockey Club team in the mix in that 10th spot. And Dan, the question mark is IHC, but we both can't get that question out of our head.
And IHC falls into the same boat that the Cyclones fell into for us in the Elite. Names that we remember. Jesper Seaburn, Matthew Conroy, Jason Seafelt. You look at Nolan Patrick down there, Ryan Barrett. Ryan Barrett's an absolute stud there at the centerman position. They do it all. Then you have Dean Hahn in net with a .961 saves percentage. You want to talk about, number one, the guy's got the name of like a famous actor. He sounds like Dean Cain Superman, but he is a Superman between the pipes. And with this Islanders Hockey Club team, they're going to come in and compete day in and day out. They're 3-0. They haven't lost yet. Therefore, they got to be in the top 10 if you don't lose. That's where they find themselves. Boom. Great work there. We go to number 9. Number 9. It's only one team in this one. And this one, Lucas, I know we argued all of them. We were all over the place with all of these. We were trying to figure out who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. But at number 9, we look ahead to the Northern Colorado Eagles, who, if you remember, last month, Dan and Lucas had a little argument about Pueblo and the wonderful folks at Northern Colorado. And Dan K picked the Northern Colorado Eagles. Looks like they keep that top 10 spot, just edging out the Pueblo Bulls. Sorry.
Uh-oh. Oh, Dan, you're trying to incite violence now.
I'm trying to get people fired up out here in the Mountain Division. Start reaching out to us. Let's go. Start arguing with us. Get on Twitter. Dan K is happy to be the Pueblo villain. Or should I say to really upset you, Pueblo, like a real Easterner.
I don't even know how to upset the Eagles. Maybe call them the the Northern Colorado Eagles, maybe really just throw an extra ERN in there.
Emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah, exactly. This Eagles team, I mean, they're good, right? They played 3 less games than Pueblo. They're only 1 point behind them right now. They've got a little 4-0-1 winning streak going, 7-2, 1-0 in their last 10. They've got a higher goal differential. I think these are all things that make up a really great team. And Northern Colorado has proven that they can win the close games. They can win the big games. They've got Brendan McFarland, who is an absolute stud of a goal scorer, and he's backed up by a rookie in Nicholas Sampson. So they've got a 2000, then an 02. And it's a real mix and match squad, but I like the look of this Northern Colorado team.
Yeah, and the big thing is for me with Pueblo is the idea of you're just allowing too many goals right now. It's okay. It's okay to be offense first. It's okay to give up goals. It's okay to not be the team that locks it down each and every night defensively. But eventually you're giving up too many goals. And that's just where it's at right now. The differential's not there. Don't sleep on the Ogden Mustangs, because the thing that separated this from me was going back to September and seeing a 3-game sweep of the Ogden Mustangs for the Northern Colorado Eagles. Seeing Pueblo struggle with that squad a bit here, that's where they really started to separate themselves, because Ogden is going to play a huge role in this division. And the battle for the 2 seed, to avoid the 2 seed, so you don't have to play Ogden, is going to be huge, because this is going to be playoff time. Ogden's the team to really, really miss. The Outliers and the Provo Riverblades, good young teams building throughout the year, but I really want to avoid Ogden if I can, if I'm either of these squads.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is going to be a heavyweight division when it comes down to the end. I'm interested to see which teams are going to end up in nationals, because it does come down to essentially the matchup in a 3-game series. One note I will say, Dan, from a technical standpoint, the Ogden Mustangs have a phenomenal camera setup out there. Perfect angles, multi-camera, huge fan. Makes it so easy to pull highlights and watch games. So I will give that to Ogden. They have a great setup and some great hockey to watch.
Give us a call, Ogden. We'd love to come out and call a game for you guys on a pretty cool setup. We can hop in a car and a plane, however you need us to get there. I'll flap my hands and Lucas can jump on my back and I'll try to fly us out there. Whatever you need, let's get out there. Let's get it done. Number 8. Wow. Number 8. The Metro Jets. This is a team that has 1 loss.
Yep.
Came in overtime. If they only made it 2 more minutes, they wouldn't have counted at all for Lucas. They lose to the Toledo Cherokee, and they sit in 8th in the power rankings, the lowest this Metro Jets organization has been in our power rankings in almost since the inception of the Metro Jets being in the USPHL.
Yeah, and it's exactly a function of what we talked about in the Elite, is that sometimes you have a great month and then other teams have better months. And the fact that Metro is an 8th goes to show you exactly what we talked about in the open of the Premier segment, how good this league is, about how much depth there is, about how much parity there is, that the Metro Jets lose 1 game to the Toledo Cherokee. But it is a game that they lost in their own division. That Toledo Cherokee team is difficult. They are a tough team. They are a phenomenal hockey team right now. But this Metro Jets team, I suspect there's going to be some more movement in November when some things shake out, because you had some divisions that just entered the fray this month. That throws things off a little bit, having to account for some new teams. So this Metro Jets at 8, phenomenal team, but just a function of how good the Premier is right now.
Lucas, they've played 10 games. They've allowed 12 goals.
Yeah.
They're allowing almost 1 goal a game. It's almost impossible to lose when you play like that. They're one of the most locked down teams in the country. They've played teams for whole weekends and not allowed goals against them. Matt Cole, Jason Crossland, who's got 11 goals on the season. Matthew, the cruise missile, Cruz there, the right defenseman, Alec Lindecker, Cody Mastay, Ryan Messing, Joey Johnson, Joey Carpenter, Alex Schaumberger, Nick Cesarini, who's been nonstop good, Joshua German, man. There's just so much talent, and then you go between the pipes, and they do it there as well. There's not a place they don't succeed. Louis Pierre Fortier, 5-0-1, 9.53 saves percentage. William Augustine, 4-0-0, a 1.50 goals against average, and 9.17 saves percentage. And William Augustine, we watched, had success for years here with the Metro Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, is not going to last for long. I'm making a Dan K prediction right now that next month they're in the top 5.
Listen, could it be a mistake? Absolutely. Will we ever admit to any of our mistakes? Absolutely not.
No, I've never been wrong in my life. That's one thing I know. The other thing I know, I'm the most humble man you will ever meet. Nobody is as humble as me. Not even close. Not even a close second. Nobody's as humble as me. Nobody can beat me there. Number 7. Let's get to it. How about this? Thunderbirds. Ho! The Las Vegas Thunderbirds, baby. Rolling the dice and getting 6-0 start out of the way, scoring a bajillion goals, giving up none. They dominate everybody they play, and this USPHL Pacific Division is looking like one of the most fun ones on the planet.
This Pacific Division has lifted off. They have started play for the season, and the Thunderbirds are announcing their presence with authority. 53 goals in 6 games. Give it a rest. Don't expend all of your energy in October. There's so many more months of hockey left. That is an insane statistic. They were great on the defensive end as well, only giving up 10 goals in 6 games. And the most important thing for this consideration, which Dan and I talked about, is they carry the lineage from the Western States League. They carry that momentum. They carry that identity. They carry these players in the program. And that counts for quite a bit. And we have to count it until we discount it. And it's just a function of the fact that, this division is playing itself right now. So we're carrying that lineage and we're carrying a lot of these things over. And until these teams play each other at an event like the Winter Showcase, it's going to be really difficult for us to discount what the Thunderbirds are doing.
Yeah, and you look in net, they scored a bajillion goals. We just said Mike Stanaway is going to look at this and say, oh, my Atlanta, I've got some competition here. Colin Gallimore and Anthony Bonaldi in net. Gallimore 2-0, a .930 saves percentage, 1.5 goals against. Anthony Bonaldi, a 1.75 goals against, but a .951 saves percentage. So you're talking a team that's not just scoring it. We talk about, I want to know you can win the close game. I want to know you can win the blowout. I want to know you can win the low score, the high score. They do it all. Nate Moore, Keith Schenkel, Heath Mensch is a Mensch man, Nick Bonaldi, Eric Altman, Austin Carriage, Trey Ponto, Mark Kurlanchuk, who we've seen a lot of, man. We've seen him before. This Vegas team is for real. And I will tell you what, I twist my arm, send me to Vegas. I will go to Vegas. I will cover as many Thunderbirds games as you need. Twist my arm, fine. We'll do it.
You know what? If we got to do it, we'll go. This is our job after all, Dan. We got to go to work eventually.
That's it. And I'll tell you what, the Metro Jets may want vengeance on us when they find out they're the 8th seed, but the number 6 in our power rankings has a chance this month to get vengeance against the Metro Jets team that has beat up on the Great Lakes for years because they're so darn good. The Pittsburgh Vengeance at number 6.
Yeah, and the Pittsburgh Vengeance are the second best defense in that division behind the Metro Jets. I can't wait for these two teams to play each other and see how long they can go without scoring a goal in that first game. That might be like a Rockets Colonials from last year where 1 goal in overtime decides it, because these two teams have locked down defense. The Pittsburgh Vengeance have been so good this season. A 34 goal differential. You know what? They're a disciplined team. They're not taking a ton of penalty minutes. They're staying out of the box. They're keeping it 5-on-5. They've got good wins. They've split a series with the Cherokee, so that really counts for something. That's split against a high-ranking team always bumps you up. I like what the Vengeance have been doing. We liked this team last year, and I think they're carrying a lot of momentum into this season. An
early goaltender of the year candidate in Noah Bombasuto, who has been a bomb, man. 6-1-0 in net, a 1.14 goals against average, a .954 saves percentage, 7 starts, 3 shutouts. This kid is for reals. He stopped 165 pucks in these 7 games. It's not like he's getting a low shot total either. Josh Berry and Andrew Kelly backing him up are perfect, 4-0 between the two of them. And this team has a .937 saves percentage as a team. They're allowing a goal and a half or less a game. They've got 4 shutouts already as a group. The Vengeance Metro Jets games this month are going to be incredible. And the big thing that put the Vengeance ahead of the Jets is that they have a win against the Cherokee The Jets don't have a win
Right.
against the Cherokee. That's what jumped them here.
And the Vengeance have made a huge add this year, currently sitting at 5th overall in points. Dan is a name that you and I know well, and it's Carter Stensland. Originally from the Lansing Wolves, he has no goals, 10 assists on the season. So through 10 games, 10 assists. Stays out of the penalty box. Great defenseman, great on-ice awareness, feeds guys the puck. He becomes the lifeblood of an offensive effort from the defensive position. This is a huge, huge pickup for Pittsburgh. At 2,000, he's bringing a lot of that veteran energy to this team.
Yeah, I mean, he is just so talented, so good. And speaking of talented and good, we go to number 5. Okay. Dan K said this team was never going to leave the number 1 spot. So let's just say, again, I'll never say that I was wrong because here's my rationale.
Okay.
Everybody has a down month, right? And you can't just win them all. Then you're just showing off. The Charlotte Rush at number 5. I still think roster-wise this is my number 1. But you got Johnny come lately, right? You got to look at what has happened lately. And the month of October was not friendly to the Charlotte Rush.
No, they had a bit of a time in October here. 1-2-1-0. They have a win against the Generals, but it ends up being a split series. 2 losses against the Junior Canes. One of those losses in overtime. A rough month to be sure, but you do have to weight that against how good these teams that they're playing are. You know, the Junior Canes are a phenomenal squad. The Richmond Generals having some problems in the Premier Division, but still a strong team. And like we talked about with the Richmond Generals elite team, when you have a target on your back, the smallest misstep sends you stumbling, and it's just a matter of how far down you go.
Yeah, and you look at the loss of Tripp Clark. I mean, Tripp Clark, an incredible kid on and off the ice and a big-time player on this team, had a .969 saves percentage in a shutout before the injury. They lose him for the year. That is, you cannot put into words that loss. David Battisti here, 3-2-1, picking up the slack with a .199 goals against average, a .938 saves percentage, 3 shutouts in his 6 games played, so he shut him out in half of the games he's played. That Carolina Junior Hurricanes team's really good. And you saw Ryan Crothers tweet about it. It just seems like clockwork that Carolina comes into Charlotte and just gives them trouble early in the season. But you look at the roster, Shane Hemmer, Alex Davis, Anthony Vidrick, Palin Brooks, Zach Dill, Ethan DeMondrum, Charlie Merkley, Devlin O'Kane, Blake Vacay, who never takes a vacay, Kieran St. Onge. They can do it from all over. I still love this Rush team. I will not sleep on the Rush. Do not sleep on the Rush. You sleep on the Rush, you lose by 55 because they can score it in bunches. Dan K pep talk time. Boys out in Charlotte, all right? Elite and Premier. You're in the middle of the rankings right now. You're in the middle of the power rankings. In the Premier, you know what? That's a huge accomplishment, number 5. But you know number 1's reachable. You know it's attainable. You've been there. Bulletin board, baby. Put it up there. Put number 1 up there. Next month, let's see the Rush back atop the standings. Let's see them back atop the power rankings. Let's rush to the top here. Big month ahead. Let's go, boys. Prove the Dan K Show wrong, just like the number 14. They proved the Dan K Show wrong.
Yep.
Lucas, we tried to hedge our bets, and we put the River Kings and the Moose in our top 10 last month. And a team that is large, in charge, and from Minnesota, you betcha, the Minnesota Blue Ox, they said, man, are you guys dumb by not putting us into these things?
The Minnesota Blue Ox are a team driven entirely to spite the Dan K Show.
It's their whole goal.
That is what they are at this point, because they look at our top 10 and they go, okay, we got this. And they win with such authority. That's the other thing, too, is you look at the Blue Ox and the way they win these games. They win close games. They'll thump teams. They win any way they can, and they'll win every way they can. In October, they went 8-2-0. They beat the Moose. They beat the River Kings. They beat the Havoc. Now, they've also lost one against the River Kings. That Moose series is a bit of a split, but these are close games. This is a tough team that really knows how to win. They play offense well. They play defense well. I mean, at a certain point, something's got to give in this Midwest West, and we're not there yet. We haven't seen the full breadth of what this division can offer.
Michael Clough at the top of it, man. 9 goals, 18 assists, 27 points on the year, 3 of those game winners. Already talked about how important I think those are. Hayden Maslowski, 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points. Jake McAlpine, 16 points for him. Alex Skratsky. This team just, they get it from all over. They battle. Nobody ever wants to play them. Every time you talk to teams out in the Midwest, nobody wants to deal with this team. And that is such a good, it's such a compliment to a coaching staff, to a team. If you are the frustrating team to play, that's never a good thing for anybody else. It's a great thing for you, though. It means you win games. Vinnie Castelletti in net 6-0. Talk about goaltender of the year candidates. There's one right there in Vinnie Castelletti. 2.14 goals against, 936 saves percentage, 1 shutout, 190 stops made. This team has all the makings of a Blue Ox team that can repeat what they did 2 years ago and make a semifinals run at Nationals. I could see it happening now.
Yep. And, one of the interesting things, too, is the way they win these close games, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is because they don't take penalty minutes. They have 100, just over 100 penalty minutes so far in the season. One of the other interesting things, Dan, of their 63 goals for, 11 of those goals have come on the power play. So you're looking at roughly about 18% of their goals coming on the power play. That's huge. So when you don't take penalties and other teams take penalties when they play you, you're giving this team chances to win. They've acknowledged that, and they play to that. They cause other teams to give them penalty opportunities, and then they capitalize on them.
Speaking of capitalizing, last month, we were still wondering if this team was the real deal. Well, they did not just put a stamp that said real deal all over their forehead. They absolutely showed up and showed out this past month. The Toledo Cherokee, ranking higher than they have in organization history in the Dan K Show Power Rankings. Number 3 in the nation, in the Premier, a nationwide league, coast to coast, northeast to southeast, northwest to southeast. I don't know if I'm doing all the geography correctly, but I do know that the Toledo Cherokee are doing a ton correctly behind Coach Kenny Miller. They've got Marcelo D'Antonano at 9-0-0 and 911 saves percentage. They got Mason Snyder, who's doing it in net as well. This team can score it. This team can stop it. They can play defense. They can play offense. They got Bailey Bird and Andrzej Dupal and Zeth Stalmazic, some of the top scorers in the league. They got Jake Rhodes, all roads leading to him. Devin Stroya, the Destroyer, over there with Toledo. This team is the real deal.
Yeah, I like the mix of youth and veteran presence. I love their ability to play offense as a team. I love the way they fight in the boards. The one downside is the penalty minutes that they've been taking, and that's going to be an adjustment that they're going to have to start making. But right now, it's not hurting them. You can make the argument about they're taking too many, but it's not hurting them right now. They're beating these teams. They're doing a phenomenal job. Their October record, 11-1. I mean, you put a 13-game win streak, that speaks for itself. That's incredibly impressive. I cannot wait to see how Toledo responds to being number 3, responds in November, and the big question, can they keep it up? Because even last year, IHC, on that 22-game win streak, they went down to Florida, they went 0-4. So we'll have to see if Toledo can avoid a moment like that.
Yeah, and you look at this Toledo side, they are not doing this in a rollover division by any means, because there is, number one, there isn't a rollover division this year out in this division. They've got to deal with the Metro Jets and Pittsburgh Vengeance out there. There's 3 teams from the Great Lakes right now in the top 10. And now, Friday, November 6th, tomorrow night, they got to go play the Metro Jets again and try to take it to them again. So they've got a tough schedule. Congratulations to Toledo, because they are having an incredible start to their season. Number 2, the curse of the Midwest West with the Dan K Show. The Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. We were so sure about roster-wise. I still think the River Kings are the best roster in the Midwest West right now in terms of depth and ability. But the Blue Ox and this team, the Minnesota Moose, earned their way in. We talked about play your way in. They did just that. The Moose at number 2. This team, Lucas, knows how to win a close game. 4 overtime victories. 4.
It's insane. It's absolutely bonkers that this team can win so many overtime games. There are 4 overtime wins in the Midwest West, and Minnesota Moose have all 4 of them. It's absolutely wild. It's wild that they have so many overtime wins and still a plus 38 goal differential.
Yeah.
That's even crazier because that shows you how absolutely electric this offense can be. When this offense turns it on, it's a steamroller. And if the offense doesn't get going, they can rely on defense. They can rely on their ability to stop the puck. You know the names, you know the players. I do like to go over to the goaltender side here and show you the reason why the Moose are so good. The Moose are so good because with 3 rookies in net, their team goals against average is a 177, and they have a .918 save percentage. Logan Wright, Dylan Romano, and Luke Buza are the reason that the Minnesota Moose are at number 2, because when the game is close, they lock it down and they stop the puck.
And we talked about Ike Frankel week in and week out. This kid is so talented. 13 points. Cody Carlson leading the way at center with 4 and 10. Chase Solberg. The 2 guys I keep going to and I keep circulating to when I watch this team play. Tristan Avaletta, the centerman, 4 goals, 7 assists, 1 power play goal, 1 power play assist. He's a difference maker. He's a real difference maker. This is a guy who you need on your squad if you're at the next level here in the collegiate game. Logan Lake, the defenseman, but then Vladimir Fadiv, okay? Yeah. Look at the Rum River Mallards are struggling early in this season because they're missing that guy like a Fadiv who could just take a game over and go score whenever he wants at will. Fadiv's doing that with 6 goals for this squad with the Moose. That ad is so big, the depth in it. Second, third, forward line ads are humongous at this level. They did just that. When you can score from the third line, you can win any big game, and it's why they win the close ones. I love the Moose. I love Coach Jonason. I love what they're doing in Minnesota. There are a ton of teams, the Mullets, everybody out there in Minnesota could have an argument for this top 10, but nobody has a better argument for the top spot. What do we always say? We always quote the wonderful philosopher Ric Flair. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! The Carolina Junior Hurricanes beat the man in the Charlotte Rush this month. They went out there. They took care of business. They put up the W's, the Georges. They went 4-0 in the month. They swept the Rush. They swept the Patriots. They've doubled their goal output and differential, 38-4, 19 against. They can score it. They can stop it. They can do it all. They're 7-1-0-0 in potentially the toughest division in the Premier right now. The Carolina Junior Hurricanes, your number 1 team.
That's it. And it's as simple as 2 wins against the former number 1 team. You show us that you can go after the king and you can knock him down. Guess what? The crown is yours. And now it's up to you to defend it. And the Carolina Junior Canes have done just that. They're on top of the Southeast with a 7-1-0 record through 8 games, 2 overtime wins. They have twice as many goals for as goals against. They have the lowest penalty minutes of anyone in that division. They're on a 4-game win streak through the month. They've checked all the boxes. They've made their own boxes and then checked them off as well. This is what we almost got last year, this full-strength Carolina Junior Canes team. Right at this moment last year, they were hampered by some injuries. Well, not this year. This team is being led by some great skaters. Daniel Now, Ethan Hopp, Luke Babylon. This is the heart and soul of this team. 2 02s and a 2000, mixing it up, getting the points. And the thing is, they're not winning by a whole bunch of goals every game, right? If you look at 8 games played and 38 goals for, you're looking at about 4-ish goals a game. So they're not overwhelming offense. So they're playing good on both sides of the ice.
Yeah, Daniel Now, Luke Babylon, Jacob Schnapp, Jacob Wiedemann, Dylan Blue, TJ Rayno, Tanner Booth, Pete Giambattista, Aiden McNabb, David Blue. I mean, you look at this team, you look at the names. These guys have won. These guys continue to win. They continue to show the ability to win. And this Junior Hurricanes team, I mean, now you got the target on your back. You know, we talk about it all the time. Everyone we always argue for, I want to be number one. I want to be number one. Well, heavy lies the head, right? Heavy lies the head that wears the crown. And, now everybody's looking at the premier power rankings and they're saying, oh, Dan, Lucas, you think that Carolina's the best? Wait till you see what we can do. So let's see how the Junior Canes stand up, because there's one thing to win and there's another thing to win when you're supposed to win and you're expected to win.
Right.
Those 2 wins against the Rush, upset city, feel great. But now it's upset city if someone comes to your town and beats you and dethrones you. You want to be the man, you got to beat the man. You want to beat those Junior Canes, you got to go out there and do it on the ice. I cannot wait to see what this next month is. You look at the teams that missed the top 10, and it amazes you. It is amazing. The Charleston Colonials could have made it. The Tampa Bay Juniors were 7-1-0. They didn't make it. The Florida Eels 6-2-0 didn't make it. You look through. The Philadelphia Hockey Club miss out with only 2 losses. The Springfield Picks, the Twin City Thunder. You look at the Hudson Havoc, who haven't lost in regulation yet. And Lucas, you look at this Fresno Monsters team. They were undefeated, 6-0-0 and 0, a bunch of O's, because, oh man, they missed the top 10 undefeated. But guess what? They have a chance pretty soon to play this Las Vegas Thunderbird squad.
That's right. And depending on when you're watching the show, they're playing right now, because they're playing tonight, Friday night, and Saturday night. So as soon as the show is over, go watch the Thunderbirds play the Monsters. They're on right now.
Yeah, and this Thunderbirds and Monsters matchup all season long is going to be one to see. The Pueblo Bulls miss it. The Ogden Mustangs, the Chicago Cougars. You look at the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings didn't make it. The Hampton Roads Whalers, the Richmond Generals. I could name teams until we run out all. Not in the top 10. Not in the top 10. Prove it. Prove it on the ice. Prove us wrong. Reach out to us, please, at @the_Dan Show. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. www.dankshow.com. Keep watching. Keep participating. Be a part of the show. This show's too long. No empty net this week. We're skipping the empty net. We'll talk to you next week. So you got to talk to us. You got to tell us what you need us to see, what we're missing out on, what is happening. Oh, we're losing our minds. Lucas, parting words. Yeah, I got nothing else either. We've talked enough. My voice is hoarse. I drank about 20 gallons of coffee. I've got this really cool mug. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night. That's what the mug says, and that's what this guy says. Say goodbye, Dan K mug.
Now, did you have to put it on the mug because you kept forgetting?
Yeah, I can never remember my own phrase.
That's a pro move, though. I respect that.
Yeah, I do my best. You know what I mean? I'm out here trying to relearn everything every day. Just like mathematics, addition and subtraction.
That's it. And the other ones.
Yeah, all this stuff.